So I've been studying the childhood of key autocrats in history, and it turns out that there are some very distinct parallels between them. And in these parallels we can see how the personality of the autocrat takes shape over those absolutely essential formative years of childhood. Now I'm going to go into that, actually laying out the childhood stories of several autocrats in history, and also the one we have sort of wannabe autocrat right now in the White House, just after a quick word about this channel. I hope you're enjoying the video. As a psychiatrist who's fascinated by the worlds of politics and economics and philosophy, I love making these videos, and if you'd like to see more of them, then please do like and subscribe and comment in this video. What you'll find is that there's a beautiful community growing up around this channel. We're all going through a national and international trauma right now because of what's happening and where our leaders are taking us. And in this channel you'll find people honestly sharing their situation and their distress, and other people responding with kindness, empathy and compassion. So please join this wonderful community that we're forming, join in the comments and the dialogue that's happening. Joseph Stalin was born in 1878, and he had two siblings, Mikhail and Georgy, who he never actually even met, because they both died in the early years of their childhood. Their mother, Keke, was of course inconsolable, but when Stalin came, she saw him as a redemption. She saw him as her path out of the grief. She treated him as almost a savior, and she even said to him that she believed that he was saved. He didn't die in his childhood like his siblings, so he was saved because he had within him a special destiny from God. Vladimir Putin also had two brothers, Victor and Albert, both of whom died a full 10 years before Putin was even born. In fact, his mother was 41 years old when Putin was born. Clearly they didn't expect to have him, and the fact that he turned up made them feel like the world had been put right again. These traumatized parents suddenly felt like they had a new lease on life. Something worked out for them for a change. Their father had also been struggling through the war prior to his birth. His own survival and that of his mother was endangered too, but they survived, they were alive. And although they lost two children who were dear to them, Vladimir came and put everything right again. These deeply traumatized parents saw their child as fragile and precious, something to cherish and nurture beyond any other. Adolf Hitler had 5 siblings, 4 of whom died in childhood: Gustav, Otto, Ida and Edmund. They all died in their youngest years, and the only surviving children were Adolf and Paula. Adolf was the only surviving son of mother, Clara, and she adored him. She became deeply attached to him, emotionally almost dependent on him, believing again that so much of the world became good by his presence and his survival in their lives. So we see here that in each of these cases, and there are other cases in autocrats throughout history, something happened in their childhood that led their parents to give them this sense of specialness, this sense of actually beating the odds, this sense of being a gift from the gods to their parents, of outshining all the others around them and being the final redemption, the final savior of the family who survived, who made it through, and who is there for them, saved by God. Now, something not dissimilar also happened in the childhood of Donald Trump. His sibling, Fred Jr., also died, but not in childhood, in adulthood. But in many senses, he was dead to his parents even before he became an adult, because Fred Jr., by all accounts, was very different from their father, Fred Sr. Fred Sr. was a ruthless man, described by many as aggressive and unforgiving. And the fact that he had a son who was actually, as described by all, a sensitive soul, someone who was actually caring for other human beings, he was seen therefore as a failure. His personality was not seen to be up to scratch. Fred Sr. often talked about how he saw the world in two camps. There are killers and there are losers. If you're not a killer, you're a loser. And Fred Jr. was in no way a killer. He grew up to become an airline pilot, which his father actually criticized him for, saying that he was a glorified bus driver and he was ashamed of him. He ended up driving his son to drink and eventually to death. But as I say, even before he died, his father saw him as a failure. His father saw him as someone who was dead to him and didn't even stay in touch much of the time. Instead, all of his hopes, all of his dreams and ambitions for the growth of the empire that he had established, the Trump family fortune, the real estate fortune that was, of course, well established by Fred Sr. before Donald Trump ever came around. The whole future of that was put in the hands of Donald. He was the one who was seen as the savior, the one who will really make it work. Now, what's interesting about the dynamic of all of these people is the fact that on the one hand, they had this dimension to them where the parents awarded them with a sense of specialness, a sense of standing out from the rest, a sense of being the chosen one. So they had that chosen one mentality embedded deep within them, something that must have driven them through the whole of their lives. But at the same time, the parents were often emotionally aloof, at best, and actually aggressive, hurtful and punishing at worst. And so we see that with Donald Trump. We see the way his father may have invested all those hopes in him, but was also very harsh towards him from his youngest age all the way up to his adulthood. And we've seen that also in the childhood of these other autocrats in history. While they were given this sense of specialness, they also had parents, often the father figure in their lives, who was very aloof towards them, who was very aggressive, who was very unforgiving towards them. And so they were instilled with this sense of specialness, this sense of being something above the rest. But at the same time, they were treated with coldness, with harshness, without love and affection. And so that creates in you a vortex, a sense of entitlement, a sense of, well, if I am this way, then I deserve adoration and adulation. And how come I'm not getting it? So that vortex leads them to create a vacuum inside, a vacuum that I've described before as a black hole of attention, of needing to gain the attention of others, the attention they believe they deserve, the attention they believed they were born to receive, and they hadn't received in their childhood, so went everywhere to seek it. Sometimes these people went into other careers in order to try and gain it, but eventually they found their way to politics, because politics is where the adulation really comes to stratospheric levels, and that's what they received. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, and then millions of people adoring them in the way they believed they were always due, in the way they believed they always deserved. But the problem is, a black hole can never be filled. And so as a result, they're always seeking more, they're always craving more, they're always wanting the next level. And that, in the end, is the reason for their demise, because they can never be fulfilled. That huge chasm within can never be satisfied, and so they have to keep seeking more and more and more, and eventually that will finish them. And that is what we have seen happen throughout history. And that again is what we are seeing happen right now. It's not enough to win one election, to win two elections. It's not enough to have millions, to have tens of millions of devoted fans. It's not enough to have stadium after stadium ringing with praise and ecstasy from one's supporters. More is needed, always more. And it is that desire for more, it is that need to fill the vacuum within that eventually destroys the autocrat that was formed from those earliest years and those first days of childhood. I hope you liked the video. I hope you also can join me with more of my content that I'm aiming to make over the coming months and years. You see, this time around, what we're experiencing in this administration is a global trauma, and the people going through it have been asking, how can we support ourselves? How can we learn and grow and share together through this process? So I've started to write a series of ebooks. That's, together with my whole team, once a month we're going to produce an ebook to help us understand better the psychology of the people around us and the systems we're in, as well as our own psychology too, to help us navigate this increasingly confusing and disorientating world we find ourselves in. You'll be able to find those books on russellsbooks.com. That's russellsbooks.com. As soon as you go there, you'll be able to see the growing catalogue of books and hopefully buy any of them at any point. In addition, I hope you can subscribe to my e-newsletter. See, there's a link in the description of this video and also the description of the channel. And if you go there, you'll be able to fill out a form. Once you've completed the form, you'll then be able to get subscribed to my e-newsletter. And that way you can always be kept up to date about the content I'm producing. You see, the fact is that this platform, as well as all platforms, are owned by a very small number of oligarchs. And at any point, they might decide to shut down a channel like this. And if they do that, then, well, it's going to be hard for us to keep connecting. So if you sign up for my e-newsletter, that way you'll be able to make sure that you'll be informed about my content wherever it's delivered and wherever it lands. Finally, I hope you might also consider becoming a member of the channel. If you do, you'll get these ebooks for free every month. So all the ebooks I produce go free to my members who join the channel every month. Also, you can get priority response to comments, and there's also a members-only chat page for higher-level members that we engage in regularly to sort of learn, share, and support one another. As I say, this is a difficult time, it's a traumatic time in history, so many of us need support from each other. I'm hoping each of these things can help all of us create a better tomorrow together. Thank you.